Okay, we're back. Hard to believe we only have 200 more pages to go. We are entering into chapter 12, page 354, 355 in good old Murach's MySQL. There we go. And hopefully you've been enjoying the book and you haven't given up on us yet. Um, I really do like, as I've been doing these videos, and I've been really trying to crank these videos out, pretty quickly, so they're all front-loaded in the class and available. Um, I really do like the way the book is laid out, that you have one page to read, and then you have one page to actually do the practical assignment. And by now you get it. We're at chapter 12. We're well over halfway through a 560 plus page book, and by now you should definitely get it. We've done a lot of work so far, and we're entering into an area called views. In the database world, and a lot of the work that I do in my full-time job at Yale with data integration, is the DBAs and the functional people actually create a lot of views for me that I don't have to think about how I pull the data out to be able to send it on to another system. A view saves me a lot of work. And when a view's been created, it basically is saying, I want to do these joins together. I want this table, and this table, and I'm going to create these columns. I want certain selects. I don't want to see certain records. Remember a long time ago I said something about you wouldn't really delete data. You might have a status field to say deleted or unemployed or something, or no longer employed. Um, a view would allow us to do something. So basically, what a view is doing is a view is taking any type of select statement that we want to create and turning it into a table. And as the data from the source tables that would create that select change statement change, that view will then change with it automatically. And so what happens is then all you have to do is select star against the view name, and you get all the records that you want. And maybe you limit it with some sort of where clause. But you don't have to do all the joins and everything. You don't have to do the unions. You don't have to do all the tricky work that we've learned so far. So a view makes your life easier. Um, and so what you would do is you would take 2 or 3 tables that are separate, and you could create them together to create a view. So speaking of that, with your final project, one of your assignments with your final project and your assignment this week will be to create at least one, maybe 2 views for your final project database. So be thinking about the data tables you've created and how you might turn them into a view for this assignment. Okay, what I'd like you to do first, before you get started writing some code, is read pages 354, 355, 356, and 357. Read those pages through. It'll take you just a couple of minutes. And then come back to the video and go to page 355, where the figure 12.1 code is that we'll actually create. So read up 354, 55, 56, and 57. That will give you a good foundation, and then we'll create some views. Okay, before we're going to start on now. You've read up to 357. What we're going to do is create some views. On 355, there's a create view select statement. Don't run it right away, because what I want to do is first we're going to be using our AP database. And before we create the view, it's always wise to run the select statement that you're actually going to create your view from. Now, if you remember, if we go select star from vendors, we're going to get all this stuff. We get lots of columns that we might not need for a certain situation, and we only really want vendor name, in this case vendor state, vendor phone. So if I do a select statement here, now I'm just getting the vendor name, the vendor state, and the vendor phone. That might be a nice quick little lookup tool for me, and a nice way to get data quickly without having all that other stuff. So remember, when I did select star from vendors, I got all of this stuff. I'm testing out the SQL for a view that I want to create. Okay, that looks good. And I might even, I think I can add order by vendor name. We can even add that. I'm guessing that's probably going to be a hit, but I'm going to add that to it. Now let's create that. Okay, the view's been created successfully. Now what I want to do is I created this, I just did a select, sorry. What I want to do is I want to add this order by vendor name here. I didn't create the view, I just ran the select again. There. Now I'm going to create the view. The view's been created. Now, and the view name is called vendors min. So now if I go select star from vendors min, spell it right, watch what I get. I'm getting the 3 columns that I built from the view, and I'm getting them already in the order that I actually had them deal with. So now that's available to me. I can also describe vendors min, and we get some information about that view. So remember, what we actually did is we took data from a table, from a select, like we've been doing all semester long, and we basically built a virtual table, actually a real database table from that. If we go over to our object browser, there's tables. If we go into views now, we see a vendors min view there. And it talks about some things we can do where I can now select star from the vendors min view, but just give me the ones from the state of California. Here's all the state of California. I can also update or change a view. Update the vendors min view, setting the phone number to this where the vendor name equals register of copyrights. So let's find register of copyrights. That should be somewhere around here. It looks like it's in the other. Let's go check here. Register of copyrights does not have a phone number in it right now when I did select star from the view. What I can also do now, what's nice, is I can actually update this view, and I can update this view and watch what happens. I've just updated the view. I'm now going to select star from that. I'm going to find registers copyrights, and we see that we have a phone number. Now what would be interesting is let's select star from vendors, the original file, order by vendor name. This is the original source table. Now let's go down and find the register, let's see, REG, register of copyrights, and let's skip over. Notice now the actual source table has been updated. So what's cool is there's a relationship between this view table you've created and the original source tables, that it actually created that for you. And if we wanted to, we can actually, just like we've dropped tables and dropped databases, we can drop the view. And we take a look here, we refresh, our view's gone. I like having that view here, so I'm going to go back to my select statement and I'm going to create it. We might need to create it again, drop it again, but we know how to do that. Okay, so by now you've done a lot of select statements, you've done joins, you've really learned how to query data and pull data out from one table or more tables. Creating a view now is really no big deal. It's nothing more than a select statement with create view as in the beginning of it. That's all it is. It's saying, I know how I want to select my data, and I want this view to be available for me so I can just go directly to the view, work the view, select on the view, so I don't have to deal with all the complex logic that I would have to write in a select statement where I'm joining and dealing with more than one table or a set of rules. So if you go to page 359, the following views are here. And I'm just going to knock them off, take a look at them, and we'll just go. Okay, we've just created a view called vendor's phone list. So if I go select star from vendor's phone list. Now, a view with just a column vendor name, last name, first name, and phone number is available for me. I can now select, I can query, I can do whatever I want from that. What if I need a view of just the vendor invoices? We can create or replace. We've done that. Select star from vendor invoices. There you go. The relationship of here's all the Federal Express corporations, their invoices, their dates, and the total amount of their invoices. And this is for the whole thing. Now, if I wanted to, I could then also add, when I created this, the order by clause. So I'd have be all by order, by vendor name, then by invoice number. Or maybe I want it by invoice total, descending order, because I want to see my highest ones. Or how about if I just take this view that I've created and add to it order by invoice total, descending. So I've got this view already doing the heavy work for me, that now just pulling that data out quickly. There's my $37,000 invoice, going all the way down to the bottom to my $6 ones. I'm not worried about those, but I'll tell you, I think I should give this guy here, Malloy lithograph. I hope it's not Daniel Malloy. Whoops, little politics there. Okay, let's go on. Notice here, this has been added to create or replace view. So if we have a view that we're trying to create, so let's actually go to this phone list view. What happens if we take this create statement and run it? We actually get an error because that view already exists. But if we add the statement create or replace, then what we do is this replace will actually delete the old view and then create a new view on top of it. Create or replace top 5 invoice totals. So here, remember just a minute ago I added the descending invoice total, but just only give me 5 records. So now if I create that view, select star from top 5 invoice totals. There. Only have 5 records there. And we could add as many columns and other information that we might need on here. Now, if you take a look here at our object browser, you can see that we have all these original source tables, but now we have all these views that we've created. And we can also find information out about the views, what columns those views are in. Okay, so we're doing pretty good. Let's move on. Okay, please read up to 362 and 363. I'm pulling the SQL from 363. A couple of points here on this SQL here. First of all, this section reminds us that things are updated. When you create a view, you can actually update the data, and we've already seen that. But what I want to show you here is we have a select statement, and we're selecting from the vendors, but we're also joining the invoices table from the vendor's ID and the invoices ID. We're doing an explicit join from the vendor's ID to the invoices vendor's ID. And we're basically wanting invoices that are greater than 0. So what I might want to do, I'm just going to put a semicolon there for a minute, and I'm going to do this select statement. Let's see. I didn't like that. Boom. This select statement should work right there. Did I create views? You have entered. Okay, didn't like that. So let's take that select statement out. Let's just go ahead and create the view directly. I was just trying something off the cuff. Okay, it liked that. So now let's select this balance due view. Select star. So now what we're getting is the vendors, the invoice total, no payments, and people who have a balance due. And most likely I would want to go order by balance due descending. And then we can see our dollar amounts and who owes us what. And notice we're not getting anybody who has a balance due of 0. And so that's where the where clause helps us to have this one view called balance due, which actually says this is only the data I care about. The view. So think about it. You have thousands and thousands of invoices, but do you want to be looking at the invoices that are already paid? No, you want invoices where people owe you money. So having a view now eliminates from thousands to maybe a couple hundred, or hopefully none. Hopefully there's only 1 or 2 people that owe you money. The other thing we talked about is we can actually update a balance. So we can select where the invoice number is equal to this. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add this where clause to the select statement up above. And quite honestly, I don't need this order by, but I'll just leave it there. And I'll execute that. Notice that the credit total here is 0. Let's issue this update statement where we're going to change the credit total in the view, rerun this, and we see the credit total is now 300. Also, see that what we have to do, because we've added some credit, we probably should set the balance due to nothing. Now let's come back, run the select statement, and we see credit total of 300, balance due. That should have updated that. What happened here? On that. Select from balance due or invoice number equals that. Oh, I don't know why that balance due did not create. Oh, balance due is not an updatable column. Oh, we were actually getting errors there, and I didn't read the book, sorry. But basically, balance due is not an updatable column, so it wouldn't let us. So there are some situations, and the reason balance due, okay, sorry, balance due was not an updatable column because balance due is the combined of these individual columns. It's the math of that. So that's an end result that happened in the select. So of course, so it couldn't have been done. So that was wrong. So what I might want to do then is take this, and I might want to recreate this. Now let's check my select statement. And it's still balance due as that. Well, what happened was, no, the math's right. So because balance due is still a calculated column, the invoice total was 503 minus 300. That's actually correct. Again, that's a calculated column. So I'm just confusing myself here just a little bit. Bear with me. It's late. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so this one is actually new to me on page 364 and 365, and that is the addition to the on the create or replace view with the check option. And what the book says is that the check option when you create the view does not allow you to update the view if the change you make in the update would actually would take the line out of the view. So it's a safety feature depending upon your business rules. So we're going to create or select the view, vendor payment, and if we select this, here it is. And what we want to do is update, and the rule on the view was give me basically balances greater than or equal to 0. But now, if I make a payment of $400, what's going to happen to this view? So I want to do this update, and it affects the rows. One change, one warning, and it actually did give a payment total. So I'm confused now. And this is the only select that it's giving us. So maybe let's have, what happens if we run this 3 times? That's my guess. Okay, it allowed us again. It allowed us to do it again. Let's select. So now payment total is 400. Payment total, credit total is 1200. I'm going to run this again. I'm going to keep running this, running it a bunch of times. Am I going to ever get an error on this? So I'm confused about this check option now. So what's happened here now? Let's look at the view. Credit total of 1200, and I made a lot of payments. Invoice total is here. So it looks like it's actually not changing the data. Again, I haven't used the check option, I don't think ever. So this would be something to experiment with, and an update statement that attempts to update the view, and we get failed option to the vendor payment. And I don't see that we ever got those errors down here, failed option. It just kept allowing us to do that. What if I change that to 4,000? I'm going to go nuts here. Now it's bothering me. Yeah. One row's match. So what's happening here is, let's go, oh, okay, so let's take a look at the history. If I go back in the history, okay. So what's interesting here is the rows were matched. It was changed once, but then we actually have, so I was expecting either a soft error or but the truth of the matter is we got the select statement correct, but what happened was nothing was actually changed. The first time it was changed, but after that it didn't happen. Okay, so the check option's working. I think I understand it a little better. Okay, page 366 and 367. Just like we can update a view and update data in a view, it also talks about, the book is now talking about deleting records and we've deleted records from tables. We can delete from views, but if we have problems with foreign keys, we're going to get errors thrown. So if we're going to create IBM invoices. So just give me all of the invoices for the IBM vendor. So let's do a select star from the new IBM invoices view. And we see we have 2 records here. Let's insert in to the IBM view. And it doesn't like us to do that. Underlying table doesn't have a default value. So there's a problem with that. It doesn't let us to insert. Again, you remember the constraints, the rules we had on underlying tables. The view actually is subject to those. Let's delete this invoice number. We get an error here. So, let's select. The 2 views are here, but we can't delete this 4431 because, again, the relationships of the parent and foreign keys. If I delete from invoice line items now, that's the original table. It's letting me delete the child table, and now I come back and I should be able to delete that. I successfully deleted that. Let's look at the IBM invoices view, and we only have the 1 record. So what's happening here is the view that we created, there was a relationship, primary key, foreign key, foreign key, primary key relationship from the invoices table to the invoices line items. And I had to get rid of the child line items first before I could actually delete the invoice record, but that actually got deleted through the view. So the view is smart enough to know the underlying relationships. Okay, we're actually getting through this chapter pretty quickly. We're finishing it up now at 368 and 369. And we've already done this where we've created a view. And let's, I think what's happened is it's going to allow me to create this view. Yes, it created the view, vendors SW. Let's do a select star from vendors SW. It looks like I get 30 records here. Let's do a count on that. And we're basically saying, give me all the vendors who are in the southwest corner, California, Arizona, Nevada, and New Mexico. And I have 80 records here. Now we've added the or replace view, and we've modified the query to also add Utah and Colorado. So I'm going to create the view with the create or replace. Now I'm going to do the select, just a simple count, and we're still at 80. Let's do the drop vendors. So I'm dropping the view, and now let's do the create or replace. And now let's do a count. And we still have 80. So guess what? There are no vendors, at my guess, in Utah or Colorado. So, and just like we've dropped tables, dropped databases, dropped indexes, we can also drop views. When we drop something, what we're doing is totally eliminating it from our database. So for instance, with tables, if you want to get rid of the data, just a reminder, you want to get rid of the data, but you don't want to get rid of the table, you truncate the table. But if you really want to get rid of the data, what you do is and the table, you drop it. Also, if you're going to be doing major operations to any tables, any views, always do the create a backup copy, create vendor underbar copy, maybe date stamp the title or something like that, and that will help save your neck, because that way you can replace the other. And you would never do things like this to production data that you haven't already tested out well. Okay, we're done with chapter 12, and that gets us to page, we're going to start up section 4, and we're going to get into program development. So we're actually going to learn some programming, and basically it's going to take these commands and put them together into rerunnable procedures and routines. So everybody's doing great. I hope you are enjoying what you're learning. I think this book is really well laid out, and we've been having a pretty good time with it. Okay, have a great day.